Hi there, and I'm upscaling this classic Lego snack bar set, where bricks aren't this size. I build them bigger so they're this size. So far I've started step 1 and made the base plate, which in normal size looks like this, but in upscale size looks like this. And today I'm using 469 white Lego pieces to build the 5 bricks I need to complete step 1. So 4 weeks ago I started the mammoth task of upscaling my Lego snack bar, and I completed the base plate. And that's the first part I needed for step 1 of the instructions, and it took 1,600 Lego pieces to build. But the result looks amazing. And like I said, today I'm going to build the first 5 bricks that I need to complete step 1. And they are a 2x4, 2 1x1s, a 1x4 and a 1x8. But before I do that, I've got a slight amendment to make to the giant base plate. As you can see, base plates are different to regular plates. Base plates have curved corners, whereas regular plates have square corners. Now I obviously wanted to replicate that curved corner on my upscaled base plate. However, because the bottom layer was a layer of base plates itself, this little corner stuck out. As you can see, I had the bottom base plate layer, and then a layer of plates, and then a layer of tiles. And I wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who reminded me in the comments of the last video that before Lego made base plates like this, they made base plates like this, with a curved corner. And it just so happens that that curve is exactly the same as the curved plate I'm using and the curved tiles I'm using. Now I don't know why I didn't think of this myself without being reminded in the comments, because I have quite a few of these base plates in my own collection. However, they are red and blue. I didn't have any green ones, which is probably why I forgot about them. But the really great news is that my giant base plate is 3 32x32 base plates and 3 16x32 base plates. And these old curved corner base plates come in 24x32. So 6 of them will be exactly the right size. The only trouble is that I made sure my plate layer, which sits on top of the base plates, using 16x16 plates, crossed over all the joints of the base plates. So if I swap these base plates for the new 24x32 ones, these joints aren't going to be in the same place. I'm going to have a joint line all the way along the full length of the plate. So I'm going to have a lot of shuffling around to do with all these tiles and the upscale studs. And considering the original plate took well over 2 hours to build, I'm not entirely sure how long it's going to take. But the good news for you is that no matter how long it takes me, for you it's only going to be a couple of seconds. So time to say goodbye to the old corners and hello to the new corners. So that took about an hour of fiddling around, but now it's done, we can get onto the white bricks. Now for the white bricks, the studs on top are going to be quicker, easier and a lot cheaper to make than for the green studs. The green studs were made from 2 4x4 round plates, 4 macaroni tiles and a 2x2 round tile in the middle. Whereas the white studs are made out of these handy 4x4 round bricks with the recess in the middle. Then you pop a plate inside and then you add a 3x3 round tile on top. And you've got a white stud, a lot quicker and cheaper than the green studs. So I've got bags of both of those pieces, and recently on my local Lego store pick a brick wall we had 2x4 white tiles. So I filled up an entire box full of them and I've now got 538 of them, which is plenty to make the entire snack bar. Now of all the bricks that I'm building today, the 1x1 is the only one that I've built before, and that was for Lego shows as a display piece. And they're really quick and easy to build. First of all, we've got 2 1x6 plates with 2 1x4 plates, and we're going to go opposite to them with bricks. So we're going to put the 1x6s across the 1x4s like that, and then turn it around and put 1x4s on the other side. And then what we're going to do, we have, because each brick is 6 times the size, we've got to have 6 layers of everything. So effectively we're just going to do the same thing over and over again. 2 1x4s and 2 1x6s, turn it around, 2 1x6s and 2 1x4s, and then just keep going like that. Ooh. 2 more layers to go, 1x6s, then our last layer of bricks like that. And because we need 6 layers, we've got 1 2 3 4 5 in bricks. We've got 1 plate layer, so another plate layer makes 2/3 of our last height, and then our last one will be our layer of tiles, and 3 plate thicknesses makes 1 brick. So that gives us our height of 6 bricks. Pop a plate in the middle, put our stud on top, fill that up, put the tile in, and that's our 1x1 brick. And here's our other one. So that's our first 2 pieces done. Now all the other parts I'm building today I've planned in Bricklink Studio, as you can see here, but I've never actually built them in real life in real bricks, only the 1x1s. The 1x4 and the 1x8 should be fairly easy to do, they're just extensions of the 1x1. However, the 2x4 needs a little bit of extra work just to give it some strength over its 2 stud width. Now for the 1x1 brick, we started off with 2 1x6 plates and 2 1x4 plates. And for the 1x4, I'm just adding in some more 1x6s to make it a bit longer. But we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to put a 1x6 across each end, which will hold those 1x4s to the first 2 1x6s, like that. And then on each of the first layers, we're going to do a 1x8, a 1x6, and another 1x8. Then we're going to do the same on the other side. An 8, a 6, and another 8, if it'll go on. Like that. As with the 1x1, alternate layers is going to have a 1x4 on each end. So we do 1x4 there, and then the rest of the layer is completely 1x6s. And we've got 4 on each side because we know an upscaled brick is 6:1. So this is 4 studs long, that means we've got 4 1x6s. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing for 3 more layers. That's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. And if we hold it up to the 1x1, we can see we just need our plate layer and our tile layer and our studs. Now when I add the tiles on the top, I know they're going to be in a 6x6 pattern. So to get the tiles to stagger the joints slightly, I'm not going to use 4 6x6 plates. I'm going to put a 2x6 at one end, and then we're going to have 3 6x6s, like that, and then a 4x6 at the other end. And that's our plate layer, we just need our tiles. And with half the tiles down, you can see that each one of these joints has 1 tile staggering across it. And with the other half of the tiles, we just need the studs to go on top. And to hold those studs in place, we obviously need 2x2 plates on top. And in case you're wondering why I'm using yellow for these, if you didn't watch my earlier video when I started building this, I found these really cheap on Bricklink for less than 1p each, and it was the cheapest colour I could find. So we've gone for yellow, as they'll get covered up and never get seen. So we add our 4 studs on top. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's our 1x4 built. So 3 bricks down and 2 to go, and next we're going to make the 1x8. Now to fit all of the 1x8 in my shot, I've had to zoom out quite a lot, so apologies for the slightly distorted camera angle. But again, this is just an extended version of our 1x4. We've got 2 1x4 plates at the end, and then an awful lot of 1x6s in between. And then we're going to put a 1x6 along each end to hold those together, just like we did with the 1x1 and the 1x4. Like that, and then as with the 1x4, we're going to start off with a 1x8, like that on each end. And then as with the 1x4, we added a 1x6 in the middle. We're just going to extend that and add an awful lot of 1x6s in the middle. And that's our first row done, and it's pretty flimsy, but hopefully once we've got 5 more layers on top, it'll be more sturdy. So after a layer of 1x6s and 1x8s, we're going to do the same as with the 1x4, and we're going to put 1x4s on each end, and the rest of the layer is completely made up of 1x6s, of which I've got an awful lot of. So that's the, oh, missed that in the end. That's one side. And that's the other side. So again, we've done 2 layers. That's actually feeling a lot more sturdy already. And we're going to repeat that 3 more times up to our plate layer. That's our first one, our second one, and our third one. And that's all the bricks we need. We just need the plates, the tiles, and the studs. And as with the 1x4, we want to stagger those tiles across the joints of our plates. So we're going to start off with a 4x6 in the middle. Then we're going to put a 6x6 on either side of that. And then 2 8x6s beside them. And lastly, 2 more 8x6s on the end. And that's our plate layer. And immediately I can feel, now we've got our plate layer on, that this is so long, this is a little bit flimsy in the middle. And I imagine with it sticking in, it's not going to be quite as easy to put on top of other studs. Yes, you have to stretch it out ever so slightly. So it may be that with the bricks, when we get up to this size, I may have to put some sort of spacer in between here just to hold the two walls out so they can fit on other studs more easily. But I'm not going to worry about that at this stage, maybe later on when more bricks are complete. But I do want to point out that what I'm doing with these 2x4 tiles, I'm trying to do the same pattern across the entire build, so that the horizontal 2x4s are in the top left and the bottom right, and the vertical ones are in the bottom left and the top right. And you can see that on the 1x4 and the 1x1s, and of course on the giant base plate. So there's all our tiles, all the 2x2 plates added, and all those lovely studs on top. And this is officially now the biggest upscale brick I have ever built. And so we're going to move on to the 2x4, which effectively is the same size as this. It's still got 8 studs on top, but obviously just in a different configuration. And just for fun, I can already start stacking these together. I'll use my 1x2 yellow one, and there you can see we've got a little brick wall going. Well, actually quite a big brick wall. Now the 2x4 brick is going to follow exactly the same pattern on the side as the 1x4. We'll obviously just have to make the ends longer. Now over the last few months I've been placing lots of bricklink orders to try and get all these white parts together. And just as I was unpacking the parts for the 2x4, I found out I am missing one of my bags. So to build this 2x4 I'm actually missing 6 1x8 bricks and 2 of these larger plates. But fortunately we can do a little bit of parts substitution until I can place another order, or try and work out where the missing bag's gone. But initially for the walls of the bricks, the 6 missing 1x8s I'm going to replace for now with 1x6s with a 1x2 on the end. So wherever you see one of those, pretend it's a 1x8. And while I'm talking about bricklink orders, it's probably a really good time to thank all my channel members. Your membership really helps me fund my crazy upscale projects. And if anyone else is interested in becoming a channel member and getting their name on a brick in my videos, you can click on the join button below or the link in the description and that'll tell you how. Or other ways to help sponsor the Upscale snack bar is by giving a super thanks or a super chat in the comments. Or if you're buying from lego.com, please use my affiliate link. It doesn't cost you any more, but Lego give me a small commission on everything that people buy. So a big thank you to everyone who supports the channel, but let's finish step 1 by building that 2x4. So we're going to start the 2x4 in the same way as the 1x4 with 1x6s down each side, only this time we've got a 1x10 on each end. But this time we're going to stick 2 1x6s on each end and join those 1x10s to the 2 1x6s. We're going to do the same the other end. 2 1x6s, joining that together like that. And then as with the 1x4, we're going to start off with a 1x8, a 1x6 in the middle, and another 1x8, like that, and then the same on the other side. I mean, a 1x8, a 1x6, and then a 1x8, and you can see the same pattern as before with the 1x4, but just wider. And as with the other bricks, we're going to alternate these layers, so that's going to get repeated several times. But our alternate layer to this one, we're going to have a 1x10 on each end, and then just a whole stack of 1x6s down each side. 4 on that side, and 4 on this side. So that's our 2 patterns, and we're going to repeat that up, and just bearing in mind that a few on the alternate layers, I'm going to have to swap some of those 1x8s for a 1x6 with a 1x2, but they'll get replaced later on when I've made another order. So that's layer 3, that's layer 4, and finally layer 5, ready for our plate layer. Now as with the plate layer on the 1x4, I was going to use a 2 stud wide plate, and then 3 6 stud wides, and then a 4 stud wide on the end. And that was going to equate to a 1x12, 3 6x12s, and then a 4x12 on the end. But I'm missing 2 of my 6x12s. So I've got lots of 6x6s, so I'm going to have to make up with them and some more 2x12s. So because I can't stagger the joints of the tiles on the plates as I have done before, because I haven't got the right plates, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 6x6s on the end, so at least 2 sides of them are going to be supported. So the gap in the middle won't be quite so weak. So I'm going to put 6x6s on both ends like that. And then I've got my one 6x12, which I'll put across there. Oh, I've got a 4x12 as well, haven't I? I'll put that one in there, and then fill up the last gap with a 2x12. So it's not quite as sturdy because we've got a joint going down horizontally across the brick, but once I've placed another order, I'm going to replace those with 6x12s. But that's as good as we can do for now, so we're going to tile it off next. So following the same tile pattern as we have done before, there's all our tiles on top, there's our 2x2s ready for the studs, and there's our 8 studs finishing off the brick. And now we've got our 2x4 brick completed. It reminds me that last year when I started my upscaling, I discovered that the scale we're working to, which is 6:1, is the same as the Lego Education or the Dacta bricks, which were soft bricks. You can see they're a bit squishy. They're made out of a hard foam-like material, but they fit together perfectly well. You can see the same size, except these have got slightly more rounded corners and they don't hurt if you hit someone on the head with them, as opposed to our solid brick made out of bricks. So we've got our 5 bricks ready to complete step 1. The next thing to do is take these and the green base plate inside on location onto the dining room table and put them together. So here we are on location at the dining room table. We've got our instructions for step 1, we've got our regular sized parts for step 1, and we've got our oversized upscaled parts for step 1. And firstly we put a 1x1 on the front edge here, and we need an upscaled version to go there. And then we're going to get our 1x4, we're going to leave space for that wonderful red door and put our 1x4 there, and we're going to do the same on our upscaled version there. Then next to that we've got our 1x8, and that goes nicely there. I can't tell you how satisfying this is putting it together. And then we've got a 1x1 which goes next to that 1x8 just there, and that sits there. And then lastly that huge 2x4 brick goes there, and we've got our mini version and our huge upscale version, and that looks properly amazing. Now in the comments people always tell me that they love it when I do this, so here's our regular version and here's our upscaled version. Now placing these bricks on the upscale base plate, really satisfying to do, and they can sit quite happily in any configuration. The only thing I have noticed is a 1x1 next door to another brick is absolutely fine. However, when it's out here on its own, it can actually spin slightly until the corners hit the stud next door. So there may be something I need to do, because this is going to be a whole stack of 5 1x1s here next to the door, and they are all going to rotate on each other, so I may need to think of some way of holding those together so they don't rotate, but that's a problem for another week. We've got our first layer of bricks. Step 2, I need to order an awful lot of more white parts before we can do that. If I get the instructions, we can look at what parts we're going to need next. We're going to need 2 more 1x1s, easy peasy, we've done those. A 1x2, I've built one of those in yellow before for my upscaled mini loader, so we know how to do that. A 1x8, we did one of those today. A 1x6 into the new brick, but it's going to be a cross between the 1x8 and the 1x4. And then we've got 2 2x3 plates which sit here, which is part of the countertop. Now I have made a 2x3 plate in black for the upscaled mini loader, and these are going to have to be slightly different, as we're only holding on by 2 studs on top of that brick there, so these are going to topple off unless we do something about it, as these larger bricks don't have any clutch power at all. So as always, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm going to put this back as it should be for step 1, ready for step 2. If you've liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, and share it around as well and let other people know what I'm doing. If you'd like to support the channel, you could consider becoming a channel member or using my affiliate link on lego.com if you buy from there. But above all, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe for more LEGO videos.